And it's after 3 o'clock, so let me get started. Uh, Usual announcement, pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted via remote means. Members of the public who wish to access the meeting may do so in the following manner, joining the Zoom meeting at the link provided in the agenda. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. If we are unable to do so for reasons of economic hardship and despite best efforts, we will post on the Westborough Public Library website an audio, or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. And this meeting is being recorded, and it's now called to order. Do we have any members of the public here who'd wish to speak? I'm seeing none. Do we have any minutes to approve? I don't think we do. Okay, that's 2 items down. So now we're on to overall project status update. Brian, I'm going to hand the floor over to you for that.
Sure. Thank you, Ed. Just to provide the committee an update on where we are with the project in our bidding phase right now. I do have an amendment to our schedule that we brought up at our previous meeting. There has been a lot of work that has gone on behind the scenes about getting these documents out to bid, and I'd like to at least thank the LPA team, as well as a couple members that I've spoken with over the past week about their hard work and getting things done under deadlines that we needed in order to have these documents out to bid. Ultimately, the plan is that the bid documents for bidders will be on the street and available for downloading tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. This is a 1-week push from our previous meeting. Due to the bidding process and the platform that we were using, that we were handed by Shab Khan, the previous procurement manager, we had done a lot of work with that platform, and unfortunately, we decided that it was not going to be able to provide us the tools that we needed, and we needed to bring in a third-party bidding service as well on top of that. Vertex contracted with Project Dog, which is an e-bidding platform based here in Massachusetts that's very familiar with the Mass General Law and procurement bidding law. Something that BidNet, which the town is the other platform, is more of a national platform. We were able to arrange that. We have the documents uploaded. They'll be ready for downloading, like I said, tomorrow morning. The advertisement's been done with the Central Register as well as Combis, and I'll be going over to the town hall tomorrow to do the other legal requirements of physically posting with the clerk's office and updating it with the TAC board that they have on town hall. Christy, the town administrator, also mentioned that there may be a spot at the library that we could hang a physical legal ad in the event a contractor walks up to the library and wants to find where the documents can be. So that being said, like I said, our schedule has been pushed 1 week. I did have conversation with Ed as the chair. I spoke with Walter. I also spoke with the town administrator and town finance director, and they do feel that this schedule will still work and meet the requirements that we need in order to get our number, establish our total project budget, and get it to the bodies prior to the town meeting on the 22nd of March. Our new schedule will be bids for general contractors will now be due on the 19th of February, opposed to the 12th. The other change would be the pre-bid walkthrough, which was originally scheduled for tomorrow, will be scheduled 1 week later, which would now be the 22nd of January. I have reached out to Kate, and we'll make sure that we have a representative there and be as least intrusive as possible. They're usually very informal walkthroughs. It's more or less just to have to give the opportunity to the contractors to see the location and kind of get their understanding on the logistics of the project. No formal questions can be asked at that walkthrough. It needs to be submitted via an RFI that our Project Dog bidding platform we can post our addendum to get our answers to the bid holders with that. So currently that's where we are from a project standpoint. We have we've done a lot of work in the past week to get these out on the street, and I believe our schedule is such that we'll be able to maintain the general contractor bids coming in on the 19th. And at that point, we would assemble the total project budget. Is there any questions from the committee here? I know there's some other line items, Ed, that I'll probably speak to as well that you have on the agenda.
And do you expect any impact on the date for the filed sub bids to come back?
Yeah, so that's also being pushed 1 week. So the original date for our filed sub bids was going to be the 29th of January. That is now going to be the 5th of February. So literally all the dates that we had showed previously at the previous LBC meeting has now been moved exactly 1 week.
Okay.
A main driver of that is due to the requirement for posting in the Central Register. Those need to be posted on the Thursday prior for a Wednesday publication in the Central Register. So once we made the pivot to go to Project Dog, we had missed the deadline in order to upload it to the Central Register, but we were able to get it in the following week, which there pushed our schedule 1 week.
So your hands up.
Yeah, I guess two questions. Just to educate us a bit, people who are in the business of contracting sort of monitor these sites, and then a new opportunity pops up and they jump into action, and a week later they show up for a walkthrough. I mean, they're that reactive.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Well, what I anticipate seeing, Walter, is through the Project Dog platform, we're able to see the amount of bid holders at that point. You need to register with the website and then download and register your name as a plan holder for the site. After a few days, we'll be able to look at that list and get a sense of the interest in the project. I anticipate there being quite a few on this. But a week's time would be sufficient in order to get the contractors out there to walk through. It's not mandatory as well. And then we do have established deadlines for questions from both filed subbidders and general contractors in the schedule to allow LPA and Vertex to answer those questions and have them incorporated into people's bids.
Okay. A second question is, where do we end up with the add-on things, like one probably the most important one being the book collection with the delay? Did that mean we have that in there, or it's still the same and it's
yeah, I'll let Mike or Christina, if you want to chime in on that one regarding alternate number 1 and whether that's going to need to be as an alternate or not.
Yeah, I'll pick that up, Brian.
Thank you.
So the plan is still issue it as an alternate and also issue it as an addendum. We had always planned on issuing it as addendum. It's this coming Friday, the 17th. So we're still proceeding along that plan. Yeah, we were working to try and hopefully try to get it out with this new bid date, but just working with our consultants and trying to get all the coordination done, we felt it best to take the extra time that we had planned for and keep with our schedule of issue it as an addendum on the 17th.
First, do you have any indication of how much? I'm not very interested.
So just to confirm, that will get pushed out to anybody who's filed for a bid at that point.
That's correct. So any plan holder will be issued the addendum via the email that they signed up with the service with. And then when a contractor places their bid, they need to acknowledge all addenda that have been issued to date at that point as part of their bid. So it's kind of a two-step process to make sure that it goes out to them, but also that they acknowledge that it's reflected in their bid. And if they do not acknowledge the addenda, that will actually qualify as a non-responsive bid.
Okay. One comment with regards to the walkthrough. I think we, the building committee, should stay away from that we don't want to be inadvertently breaching a process when we don't know the rules. So,
That's no problem at all. We'll be there. We'll have a sign-in sheet. That sign-in sheet will be issued as part of an addenda that will go out to all plan holders so that they know who attended the walkthrough. Usually we'll see a good amount of questions generated after the walkthrough. So that would just be part of it, would be the sign-in sheet as well.
Brian, just for comparison, can you remind everybody how many contractors took out plans back when we had the $38 million actual repair? I don't call it the original project.
Original project? Yep.
Yeah.
No problem. So with that project, we started as CM at risk. So we did not have any general contractor or any procurement we had to do for that. When we did the CM at risk, I believe that we got statements of interest from about 4 or 5 CMs. But I think what you're speaking to specifically is the filed sub bids, and we were up around 100 is what we were looking for on that. And that's usually our good rule of thumb with that. I just did a fire station that's in the town of Milton. We used the same bidding platform, and we had over 200 plan holders. So it's kind of indicative that the market, a lot of people are taking a look at these jobs. It doesn't mean that they will place a bid. But it does mean that there is a good amount of interest on these jobs. So I would anticipate around 100 respondents or plan holders on our bid service, and that's spread across all the filed subcontractors, and to get some good competition on each division. Some plan holders aren't necessarily filed sub bids; they may be a supplier or a vendor that wants to have the contract documents so that they can reach out to certain general contractors to give their services to. They're pretty. I can usually parse them out as to who I see as one of the normal players as a filed sub bid or a general contractor, and who is more of a material supplier or a vendor.
questions or comments? Down the vote list, anything else on the project cost schedule or just general status? I think we've covered everything that's live right now. Okay. Project expenses to date and planned. I received a vendor invoice package from Vertex. I forget off the top of my head the person who actually sent it, which looks like it covered costs through December. So a question for the group, is that something that all of the LBC members want to look at? It's like 5 or 6 pages now when we're not doing all that much, and there's a considerable amount of detail. I'm not seeing any enthusiastic. Please send it to me. Okay. So Brian, in that case, just keep sending that to me. At some point in the next week or two, I'd like to get together with you so I can understand what I'm looking at when I read
Absolutely. I think if we can be on the same page now for when a contractor comes on board, as well as any owner supplied vendors, that's all going to be as part of those vendor invoice packages on a monthly basis. We try to make it all as a one-stop shop, but that 5 or 6 pages may grow to 80 to 100 pages based upon the backup that we supply with it. So definitely be good to be on the same page and let you know where to look so you're not sifting through a significant amount of backup that maybe you don't want to be looking at.
Great. Okay.
Ed,
Go ahead.
I would suggest that you and Bob, a team of 3 or something, get together with Brian, so if somebody gets sick or something happens, somebody is in the queue to understand. And it could be Kate, but just a small team to keep on top of it.
It makes a lot of sense.
Sure, I'll be glad to attend the meeting with you and Brian.
Great.
Definitely.
Okay.
I can even ask too, if whatever works best for you guys, I can have my accounting manager as well attend that, as they are wizards when it comes to those packets. I do most of the review and then send it to them, and they put it together and have a lot of, and how it charges to our budget, how it ties off to town's accounting. and then also gives an idea of what is remaining and what is committed on our budgeted line items.
I, I, I think Bob and I will want to dig into it a little bit and figure out what we understand, what we need to understand. And then if the need to understand brings in the accountant, we'll bring in your accountant. Have you worked? I noticed there were some instructions in there for our town accountant, but them sending you in copies of invoices. So have you reached out to them? That's a known process, I'm hoping. Okay.
Yeah, in months past, we've been sending to Lynn, and even before Lynn, we've been sending it to Maureen. And on a periodic basis, our accounting department would reach out to the town's accounting just to make sure that our numbers are matching and that things are committed correctly on both sides, both from the project team and then from the town, as we don't want to get further into the project and there are funds being missed or something has been paid by the town that we didn't have record of. So you try to schedule that every other month or quarterly with the town accounting.
When you get a chance, if you can get a report that just summarizes everything we spent so far.
I've got that.
You've got that. Okay. I'd like that. I'm going to want to be able to pull that out for town meeting and say, we spent X on the schematic design, we spent Y on the design phase, we're going to need to spend Z for construction.
No problem. I can share for 30 seconds if you'd like, just to show you a quick where I would get those numbers from, or if we can just
sure. Let's pop it up.
Sure. So this here is page 6 of our invoice packet that was sent to you. And this currently right now is the project budget status report. And this is based upon what has been approved and appropriated to date by the town. And this is separated by columns of what is committed, what has been spent, and what is left to spend. And so for the appropriations from the last 2 town meetings, we were appropriated just over $1.5 million. We've committed over 1.2 million. We have spent just over $1 million. We have $231,000 remaining in what has been committed, which is ultimately what has been committed to Vertex and LPA at this point. And then from the original appropriations, we have just south of $260,000 that is not appropriated or committed to anything, but has been appropriated.
So that at this point, that's money that we haven't spent, and it looks like we're not going to spend it, although we may decide to want to, I guess, roll it over into the construction budget at some point.
That's correct.
Okay.
That would be a meeting for us after to discuss whether that's something that we would reflect in the total ask at town meeting based upon what we have not spent in our original appropriations.
Right. I think we do want to brag about coming in under budget. So, okay. Any comments or questions from the group on that form or the general project cost? Any red or yellow flags? And I know we've already. I'll say in my mind. I'll wait. I don't see anything that big right yet. Anything else just on the general overall project status? Okay.
No.
Next one is relocation. Any update on the quest for a relocation service?
Yes. So our RFP is completed. We've also set up we're going to have a recurring weekly, what we're calling a transition meeting. This will be attended with LPA as well as Kate and her staff. And that's going to put some of the specifics into the RFP that is ready to go out. We've contacted a few different vendors off of the state bid list regarding moving services and what our plan is, knowing what the existing library is, where the new location's going to go, to start getting their head around this. At this transition meeting, we will work with Kate to determine size of collection, size of shelving that's currently there, if there are any other needs that need to be done from an office perspective, all of which we will fill in into our RFP to put into these moving services. If it's something that they cannot provide, then we need to identify that and we need to figure out who can provide that. For example, cubicles, let's say a toilet partition in the temporary space is broken and we need a new toilet partition. We need to determine who's going to be taking ownership of this and who's actually doing the work. So our next meeting is next Thursday. Our first meeting is next Thursday, and we'll be meeting regularly after that, such that we can have a number from a moving vendor, hopefully for when we receive our bids for our general contractor, so that it will help refine the number that we're putting in our total project budget for these moving services.
Some of what you described is sounds like it's part of the temporary library fit out as well.
Correct.
Okay. We talked earlier about bringing on a consultant for planning that. Is that a separate thing from the relocation, or?
That would be separate. And I believe that we're going to use this first transition meeting to determine the level of consultant work that we're going to need here. I think that we need to determine if a layout is going to be sufficient for a moving company, or if we need to contract with somebody that's going to help actually plan this and do the layout for it. So
okay.
I think our meeting on Thursday is going to answer a lot of those questions, and ultimately I'll take those answers back to you, Ed, with kind of a to-do list on what we have to do in the next month and a half.
Ask Kate and Brian, would it be worthwhile for me to attend that meeting?
Love to have you.
Okay, just send me an invite and I will look, but I'll try to make that.
Great, thank you. Do it right now.
Just in my mind, I have a yellow flag waving my head about the move process, because we don't have a whole lot of time to plan it. If we have to get formal architectural diagrams and make changes for the health and safety issues and so on that might be there, the timing is very tight. If things go well, we're okay. So, yellow flag though. Okay. Kate, have you done anything to coordinate with the rec department on this, or anybody else in the group?
I guess I need to know like what pieces we would want to coordinate with rec. I feel like that feels like something we would want to do further down the line when we know we're moving in. But I mean, I'm working with Jen all the time, so I can absolutely start mentioning this and start pulling her into some of these plans.
Many details exactly to coordinate, and I guess I wanted to make sure there was an open channel so that we could have friendly coordination instead of battles. So
yes.
Okay, great. And I think we should probably talk to Chief Purcell about health and safety issues and whatever they are. Do you want to do that reach out? Would you like me to call him? I don't want to have any surprises down the road that say, oh, we can't occupy this library because we built a wall, or there's not enough egresses, or whatever might come up.
So I don't know who the right person is to kind of coordinate all of that, because I do think we are going to have to figure out both from police and fire kind of what needs to be done in that space. And maybe that is part of like fit out, because there might be things that we need to address in the fit out to make it livable. So I'm happy to do whatever it is that we need, but I'm also happy to allow anyone else to do any part of that. Would be great. If you like, it seems to me that a town person should make the initial contact. And then once we get into the nitty gritties, it's going to need to be a Vertex or LPA or someone who's actually doing the design. Why don't I reach out to him? And I'll invite him to send a representative to Thursday's meeting, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense to you, Kate? And it'll have to make sense to him too, but it's next Thursday, the 23rd.
Correct. I just sent you the invite.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, I will reach out to him and just start that process.
Comment? Brian, would it be good to put a timeline together that, the first meeting we had, there were a lot of things from health and safety and electrical, the units on the roof and everything else. So after this first meeting, maybe put a schedule together so we don't get down to crunch time and some big item hasn't been
That's a very
ordered.
good idea.
Taken care of.
Okay. The I know the units on the roof and the pool work, they're coming up for a vote in March, but I don't know what the schedule is after that. So the point being, they might possibly not even happen. They'll
But
probably.
I think to Ed's point, that's a great idea. Things like IT infrastructure, understanding we do have the town fiber in that building, but what is going to need to be built out on that first floor? Things like the bathrooms that ultimately are going to need some TLC in those areas that are going to need to be done. Any other electrical requirements, data drops that are going to be needed. We need to kind of schedule those out and when that work would be done. Like you said, so it's not crunch time and we're up against moving and, we don't have everything in place.
Okay. Together just a really quick list of things we need to think about. And I'll send that to you and Kate, and y'all can fill in all the undoubtedly gaping holes I'll leave.
Thank you.
And then it won't be a timeline yet, but it'll be a list, and then we can start talking about that when we get to the meeting. So, okay. Anything else on relocation or temporary space?
Just one other item, and this is to Bill. I have been in touch with Jeremy Grossman, who's the owner of the property over there. We've exchanged a couple different emails and voicemails as well. He understands what we were talking about. I did let him know that it would be our intention. I'd like to have like a sit-down conversation with him about what possibilities and options would be. But then also, a key player of this is going to be probably the owner or the principal of the general contractor that we do bring on board. And ultimately, I'd like to have him at the table so that we can all meet and have an understanding about if there are any options at the temporary location. So he seems really nice and he's just a little tough to get in touch with, but we have exchanged messages and I'll have more to provide as we get a little closer to town meeting.
Excellent. Thank you.
Anything else on relocation or temporary space? Okay.
I just had I'm sorry. It just took me a second to undo the unmute. Just a real quick question for clarity's sake. We've got the library project. We got the RFP out for the library project for file submitters and generals. Then we're talking about the temporary location, temporary fit out space there and bringing in perhaps the GC over there. But is that two separate projects that have to be commingled? I mean, the GC is bidding on library, not the temporary space. So we need to do a separate RFQ for that?
No, and I apologize. I think I wasn't very clear with that. What we were speaking about with Jeremy and the temple location was if they had any actual physical area for potential laydown for a general contractor at the library site. So in the event that they had a roofing delivery, but they weren't ready for installation at that point and they needed a spot to lay it down, that's what we were broaching with Jeremy at this point. So.
Yeah. Thanks for clarity. Yeah, we had talked about that as for the lay down space. I was thinking for fit out purposes. Yes. Okay, never mind. Thank you.
To me, something you may want to think about. We have a loading dock back there, and unless the library is going to use that space for the temporary library, you could drop an awful lot of roofing materials in there, just to use Bob's example. And it's a loading dock. Anyway, something to think about. Anything else? Okay. Next thing I have is website updates, and I haven't done anything on that. I don't know if anyone has, other than Mike Karp, who's a trustee. So I think we can pass over that, and I'll have to remind myself to do some more work with that. Any other thoughts on the website update? Okay. Not seeing anything. Planning for the March 2025 town meeting. Just as a piece of news, I went with Kate to be on Westborough TV this morning at Shelby Marshall Show 01581. And I talked for about 15 minutes on the building project, and Kate talked for about 15 minutes on upcoming events. We'll try and do another talk after the bids come in and before town meeting, so early March probably. But we actually got a query from a viewer already, and they were asking if we could do some kind of cost breakdown by sort of the categories I've used, which is essential maintenance, code compliance, and program upgrades. And I know that's not how the cost estimates work, but I'm wondering, I guess this is a question for LP, can we go through and do like a rough estimate just based on the categories? Like I know the roof has nothing to do with programs or really code compliance, whereas some of the things would go into that essential maintenance category. And things like the IT infrastructure, I don't know, you could argue that might be program or it might be, I don't know. But can we take a look through that and just get some it doesn't have to be dead on accurate. If we say, you know, 4 million of the construction is code compliance, 5 million is blank, and 6 million, and those numbers don't even add up right, but is over. So we can put some ballpark figures out there that, and I can position them as ballpark, and it's going to be, as I said, there's no way to really dig out what goes into what because there's a lot of overlap. But it'd be really helpful to be able to say we had to spend $5 million for the roof and the plumbing and the HVAC and so on, and go from there. Is that something we can put together?
Can you send the question, Ed, so that we can?
I can, yeah. I will post it in the chat in just a sec.
I would say we can give it a try. My only caveat is that I would blast, in capital letters and underline that this is an estimate based upon our third-party estimators, and it's difficult to parse out each division as to what goes to what. But you can take things like fire protection, which is going to be a code compliant upgrade, and we can throw that in one bucket, and you can take kind of an educated guess at it, but I wouldn't be confident in how specific we were with it. So
I really do. I understand exactly, because it's really hard to break this stuff out. And now I'm not able to find where the chat is on here.
I think the chat's disabled on this meeting.
Okay, in that case, why don't we share my screen? Then we'll be able to see it. It's this one. It's just pretty fine print. I don't know if people can read it, but that's what there is. Brian, I can forward it to the team.
thank you.
Got to be a way to zoom this, and I have not figured out what it is. Oh, no, here's Zoom. Here it is. Okay, this message from Craig O'Reilly is what I'm talking about. So he would like to see a cost breakdown among the big category items.
Okay.
I'm thinking what my thought is actually, let me see. Walter, I see your hand up.
Yeah, so my immediate reaction is that I would be probably lumping almost everything into necessary repairs other than the things that are triggered to code compliance. There aren't a lot that's you'd be impossible to back out. Oh, we don't want to pay for program upgrades, so we just take that out, because that's not how the pricing works.
It's not, absolutely.
And also there's things like the soft costs, which get spread over the whole thing.
Right.
So I mean, I don't think it's bad to have estimates, but I'd be careful about trying to sort things into buckets that somebody could use not appropriately.
say, oh, we don't really want to move the teens to the back. Let's not let's not pay for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And that it's I don't even know how you estimate that. It probably isn't estimatable. It's we're working on all those rooms anyway, whether they move or not.
Yeah.
So I can understand wanting to know the roof costs this much, HVC or windows or whatever. That's certain lines in there, but I'm less comfortable with splitting things up by the way they happen to want to see it versus the way the project's actually done. And I think that our presentation for the public and town meeting could include some of that information, but you really, okay, I guess I've said enough.
See, I'm seeing a hand up. Bill.
Yeah,
Is that an applause?
I support what Walter's saying. I think we can get ourselves into a big hole just throwing something up. It's different in the audience because they're there in front of you. You can answer their question. I would suggest that maybe Brian comes up with something and you review with Brian. You feel comfortable with it. But I recognize some of these names, and what they're fishing for is some information they can throw back at us, and I'm worried.
Yeah, just like the people were all over the HVAC system a year or so ago. Yeah.
Yep. They're not done.
Oh, no. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to turn off sharing here. The other thing I had, just as a note, there will be the library's doing a big mini golf thing on Friday and Saturday. So, Kate, I assume you're going to be having some signs up or something?
Yeah, so it's Friday, January 31st and Saturday, February 1st. So that's coming up. And so we've been talking about this for a while and trying to get it going and trying to get our foundation to kind of run the event as a fundraiser towards that $1 million goal to help offset some of these costs. And so just kind of getting them reinvigorated and up and running and raising money again. So that event will be huge. We will probably want some sort of presence from LBC at both of those events to kind of talk about the building repair project and start having those conversations with people about what is it, just kind of informational, so we can kind of talk about that and what that looks like and who would like to be there, and we can put up information about the project as well, because we'll have a lot of volume coming through at that point, and the timing is kind of nice right at the end of January, very beginning of February, when everything's kind of ramping up. And I do think, we've been talking a lot about how community center project has kind of been very saturated, and we haven't been so much kind of the center of what people are talking about. And I do think that will flip at some point. And I think that, like us doing the show today, which by the way was a last minute fill-in, and we did our best. But even that, anytime that we're going to be talking about it and getting information out there, we'll have kind of more questions coming through. So I think it's Lynn, Ed, and Mike Hart, start working on those FAQs for our website that can answer some of these, so that when we do see questions coming up, we know one of the questions we're going to get a lot is, why not the community center? And so I've been working on crafting a really concise reason why, because sometimes it's not linear, it's not a quick answer. It is nuanced, and it's easier to have a built-in response that we can put in when we do get these questions on our social media or on our website or in person if our staff are getting them. And so I think a good call to action for anybody on LBC is, if you think about a really good FAQ question that people might ask, and work on crafting a really good response, if you can get it to us so that we can kind of look at it and see if that makes sense to add to the website, that would be huge. That would be super helpful. So yeah, I think I'm talking about mini golf though. So that event I think will be really great. We'll be advertising it just kind of as a first attempt to get people in the space, seeing the space, understanding why we need these necessary upgrades. I mean, just today, I had to have 12 conversations with people because our our box that alerts the fire department that our detectors are going off is obsolete and does not communicate with the fire department because it's based on radio and not cellular. And so we now have to go through this process of fixing it now because we know we don't have fire suppression. However, we at least need them to know that they're going off. So I think inviting people to the space and talking them through all of these pieces that I think the general public are not aware of will really help convey the why behind why this project is important and why it is necessary. So we're going to be working on that. I know I'm like bleeding into the prep for March 2025 town meeting. The other thing that Lynn and I have discussed, and we talked about this last time, is planning maybe 2 really big information sessions here at the library at different times, and giving kind of our full informational presentation that we probably won't give everywhere, but like the big one, and making sure that Westborough TV is here to record that. Also working with Westborough TV to probably do like a building tour or something with them that they can produce with us. That's a little more easily digestible for people who aren't going to sit and watch a 2-hour presentation or a 1-hour presentation. I'm also working with staff to collect testimonials in terms of how does a library impact people so that we can answer the question of, well, I go into the building and there's no one ever there, no one uses the library. And I can answer that with statistics, but that's not super impactful. I also want to answer that with stories and heartstrings. So if I can gather some of those stories to tell along the way, I'm also going to be working on that. So those are the pieces that I'm working on. We're also looking at outreach opportunities. I know Janine, thank you, you're here. You've been working on that with us. Who is lovely. So we're doing all of that, but also if you guys have any ideas of where we could be going, I think gathering them in one place would be helpful, and then we can kind of divide and conquer between us and our board of trustees. Those are my thoughts on how to prep for that. And I'll stop talking now.
I just want to emphasize something that Kate said about the FAQs, and we want our messaging to be clear, concise, correct, and consistent. So everybody says the same thing to the same question, and they get it right every time. So they're not necessarily a rote answer, but we all want to be on the same page for that. So, any other planning for town meeting? Bill, your hand's up.
Yeah, I think what Kate talked about leads into, I think we get the website up as soon as possible, because now that you two have been out there in public, then you can answer certain questions on the website and save a lot of going back and forth. The other thing, Kate, consider on the 2 big meetings that you have at the library, let us come up with a group of, let me say, like Civic Club, Rotary Club, have members from each one of those be a representative at one of your meetings, so it's broadening rather than just open house for townspeople. It spreads the word quicker, and we probably don't have as much time as we'd like to have. So think about it. I can work with you, and Janine and I have worked on a few things together in the past.
That would be great, Bill.
Any other planning? I know we plan. I will say, I don't think we've set dates, but we do want to meet with the select board and the finance committee after the bids are in. So late March, late February, early March. So,
Ed, are you still having office hours?
I have stopped having scheduled office hours. Anybody who wants to reach out, I'm happy to meet with them. But I found out that just, if I say they're 3:30 to 4:30 on Monday, A, I forget, and B, if I don't forget, I wind up just sitting at my desk working anyway because nobody calls. But I'm absolutely happy to talk to anyone about anything library related. We can
I was
decide
just
the time.
wondering if we could also tease out from some of the folks that you spoke with, some of the townspeople that have gone to you, and tease out some of the questions they had. I think there was a townsperson a few months ago that was insisting that the project should be no more than 10 million. And I'm wondering, that's an FAQ. Like that could be, well, this is why we need to do it. This is, public bidding laws. I didn't know if we could glean anything from the conversations you've had with citizens at your meetings.
FAQs and the things I come up with will be very strongly informed by those calls. And I actually plan to reach out to some of those people again, just to keep the communication lines open and find out, tell them what we're doing. So far, they've liked what we're doing, and I suspect they want us, in terms of controlling the costs and not doing too much and so on. I suspect they'll want us to do more, but
Yeah. Okay.
So,
thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else with regards to town meeting or I guess outreach generally? Okay, I'm not hearing anything. Other building related issues. I'll mention one, which is that tomorrow, late afternoon, the town is going to be meeting with the Congregational Church to discuss the parking lot situation. We may even get at least a handshake resolution at that meeting. So I'll keep you all posted on that. I'm gonna be there. I think Kate, you're there as well.
Yes.
Okay, great. So we the library will be represented. Any other building related issues? Hearing nothing. The last item is our next meeting date. I'm thinking it should be 2 weeks from today, which would be January 28th. Do we need one sooner? I guess Brian and Christine, that's a question for y'all.
No, I don't believe so. At that point, we will have had our pre-bid walkthrough, and we would be expecting our filed sub-bids the following week. So we can provide an update as to the activity that we've seen on our bidding platform and the amount of questions that have been received, to kind of provide an update on how we feel the interest is in the project. And then after the 5th, we will receive the filed sub-bid results, and I can provide that to the committee or provide it to you, Ed, for distribution. It comes in a spreadsheet showing what the low bidder is, that we would go in and review their bids and deem them as a responsible bidder that general contractors can use.
So the next meeting will be Tuesday, January 28th at 3:30 on Zoom. It sounds like we'll probably have too many building, construction process related questions, but we'll try and spend more time on the website and outreach and stuff as well. Okay. Anything else? Okay, so I guess we can take a meeting to adjourn. I'm sorry, take a motion to adjourn. I need somebody to actually make the motion. Okay.
Make the motion that we adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Okay, and Sean has seconded. Okay, so I'll go through. Kate?
Caraccio, yes.
Bob?
Petroselli, yes.
Whose image seems to be frozen there. Bill?
Lane, yes.
Pete?
Dunbeck, yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Al?
Gordon, yes.
Myself is a yes. So that's enough to adjourn. Oh, there's Walter. Walter, you seem to be frozen when you got a chance to say yes.
Leslie, yes.
Okay, so the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for your time, and I'll talk to you on 2 Tuesdays.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.